Hey guys, Jaden here from my channel, and today I'm going to be explaining all of the logic in the Pokemon video games. This includes types, moves, stats, EVs, evolutions, and all other battle mechanics.
So, if you have ever been confused about any of these things, hopefully this video will clear everything up. And if you haven't played Pokemon before and don't know what any of that means, then don't worry because I will be explaining all of that too. So yeah, let's get started.
Alright, so we're going to start off with types, which is one of the most basic concepts in the entire game.
So there are 18 different types in total, and each type has varying levels of effectiveness against other types. So some types are super effective, while others are not very effective, and some do no damage at all. And as you can see here, a type chart. You can visually see how much damage a certain move would do based on its type, and the type of the Pokemon that it is used against. For example, if you were to use a water type move against a fire type Pokemon, it would do super effective damage, and thus do more damage than it normally would. But if you were to use a water type move against a grass type Pokemon, it would only minimal damage, because water isn't super effective against grass.
Now there are also some types that are immune to certain moves, such as electric moves can't do anything to a ground Pokemon.
Another thing that I should mention is that if a Pokemon has two types, it is known as a dual-type Pokemon. Dual-type Pokemon may cover a type weakness, for example Aggronay, Steel and Rock type. Pokemon, if you use a Fire-type attack, it will only do around the base damage, since Fire-type moves are good against Steel types, but not very good against Rock types. Okay, now we're going to talk about moves. So when you go into battle, your Pokemon can use all sorts of moves to attack their opponent, and there are many different categories of moves. There are physical moves, special moves, and status moves, and each move has a type corresponding to it. For example, the move Bite is a dark type move. So physical and special moves are pretty similar except for how they are calculated. Physical moves always deal physical damage, while special moves always deal special damage. However, neither of these types of moves are better than the other, since both of these stats affect every move of their type.
For example, the move Bite is a physical move, but it ignores the opposing Pokemon's special defense stat and instead does damage based on the user's attack stat. Meanwhile, the move Thunderbolt is a special move that does damage based on the user's special attack stat and ignore the opposing Pokemon's defense stat. Now, the main difference between these two types of moves is which stat they use to calculate their power level. Also, some moves have an accuracy level and they can sometimes miss the opponent.
Status moves are another category of moves that are used to inflict a condition on the target. These conditions can be things like paralysis, poison, burn, etc. There are also some moves that can heal the Pokemon, such as the move Recover. Other status moves boost the user's specific stats, like the move Agility will boost the user's speed by double, until that Pokemon is switched out of the battle or faints. Now, status moves are usually not very powerful moves, so they don't really deal any damage. And finally, we have some other miscellaneous moves, such as the Move Sketch, which allows the user to copy another Pokemon's move. Yeah, there are some other moves like that, but those are pretty rare. But anyways, moving on to stats.
So each Pokemon has 8 different stats. Only 6 are shown on the Pokemon summary page. They are Attack, Defense, Special Attack, Special Defense, Speed, HP, Accuracy, and Evasiveness. The HP stat determines how much health a Pokemon has, and these 8 stats determine how strong a Pokemon is in battle.
Now again, physical and special moves use 2 of these stats, while all other moves use the other 3. And also, I should mention that these stats are incredibly important for competitive battling, but I will talk about that in a later video. Now, each Pokemon has base values for these stats, which determine how high they can get. For example, a Pikachu has a base stat total of 320, which means that its stats can add up to a maximum of 320.
The highest base stat total that any Pokemon has is 1125, which is held by Eternamax Eternatus. I will get into Mega, Dynamax, and Terastyle Pokemon in a future video.
And also, I should mention that each species of Pokemon has a different BST or base stat total. Now, once a Pokemon reaches level 100, their stats will stop increasing. So each species has different stats and also different base stat totals. Now we're going to talk about EVs and IVs. So basically, these are used to determine the stats of a Pokemon. Each Pokemon has 6 different IVs and 6 different EVs, and each of these slots can range from 0 to 31. Now there are some Pokemon that have higher or lower base IVs, but for the most part, every Pokemon starts off with perfect IVs, and also their IVs can never be trained up, so IVs are set at level 1. On the other hand, EVs are a bit different, because they can be trained up, but at a rate of 1 per 10 levels. Also, each Pokemon species has different EV yields, meaning that they give off different amounts of EV. So for example, if you were to defeat 10 Pidgeys, you would get 1 EV, and your Pidgey has strongest stat. But if you were to defeat 10 Rattatas, you would get 1 EV and one of Rattata's weaker stats. Now, once a Pokemon reaches the maximum amount of EVs in a certain stat, they will start to become less effective. So, this is called EV training, and it is extremely important in competitive battling. Now, IVs on the other hand are EON, directly affected by EV training, but instead they are modified by them. So, for example, if you train up a Pokemon speed through EVs, then their IVs will be shifted up as well. So their old 4 in speed would become their new lowest 4. In order to check the IVs and EVs, use the judge function in the PC in any Pokemon Center. Alright, so now we're going to talk about evolutions. Pokemon evolution changes the Pokemon's appearance and stats. Evolution can occur when a Pokemon gains enough experience through battling and leveling up, or being traded to Anthor player, or through special items. There are other ways to evolve Pokemon, such as the Pokemon having a high enough friendship level with its trainer, or some only evolve at certain parts of the day, such as Umbreon and Espeon. On a side fact, Eevee, the evolution Pokemon can evolve into many different forms: Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Umbreon, Espeon, Glaceon, Leafeon, and Sylveon. But anyways, that is all I have to say for this video. So I really hope that it helped you out. And also, if you want to learn more about Pokemon, comment down below, and I will make more videos like this one. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.